Okay, welcome back. Now you're going to start performing the exercises. At this point, you should be a natural at setting this up, setting the fuel up, getting it ready to go. You should not need any more assistance. If we see you doing something wrong, we will adjust it as fit. So the next exercise is you're going to use what you set up and braze a piece of copper. So over here we have our little lifting devices, our vices as we call them here. All right. Now here's your copper. We pushed it together. There is absolutely no flux in this. Liquid flux, a paste, whatever you want to call it. It's copper to copper. When it comes to copper or steel, or copper to galvanized, or copper to brass, you're going to need to have a stick that has some sort of silver in it. This has 0. When you're in the field, if it's a high-priced operation, you want to go with 45. Because the more silver, the stronger that hold is, and it'll never leak, if you've done your preparation properly. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to do a typical horizontal braze. All right. Nothing too drastic about this. You already know, and we'll walk through it again, but you know how to set your torches up. Again, I check to be sure that my gauges are backed off, my valves are shut. I step over here, I crack it, let it go up to the tank pressure, and then open it all the way. I step down here to my acetylene, and I do the same thing. Crack it, let it stop, and then turn it one full turn. I go back to my oxygen, and I set my working pressure to 10. Then I come down to my acetylene and I set that for 5 or 6. Now you notice how there for a split second the spring or the needle moved real quick. That's because people are not using it, shutting it down correctly or starting it up correctly. It's got pressure on it, something is not right. And that wears those things out, and then you got to buy a new head. All right, so now I have everything that I need in front of me. My rod, my torch, and again, my striker. So now I have everything in my hands. All right, I'm underneath the booth. My fan is on, and I turn the fuel on. I do about 1/8 of a turn. All right. Now, at this point, you're ready to move on to the oxygen. Now, do that oxygen slow and easy, and you're hearing this hiss. You want to soften that up. All right. So again, in your exercise prior to this, you should be practicing this. You notice that the hissing is much louder in this because it's hotter. If I want to soften it, I put more oxygen, more acetylene. That's about where it's at right there. Now, I want to turn it off. Gas first, gas, and then the oxygen. Now, we have different configurations for safety here. This is, I consider to be a better one for what we have to do here, because you can see what you're doing and this little baby flips up, and then when you're ready to braze, it brings it down. All right? So, slide on your head. There's an adjustment in the back. You gotta, on this one, you gotta push in and twist. All right? Please don't put it on so tight that you cut the blood circulation off and, you know, you burn yourself or somebody else. So, bring down my hood. I'm ready to light. All my equipment is there. My gauges are set up. Turn it about 1/8 of a shot, and I hit it again. I got lucky this time. I don't have any soot coming out of there. It's a very soft flame, so it won't be as hot when I add the oxygen to it. Now you notice the different sounds, all right? There we are with the carbonizing, because it has the feather, outer, and the inner flame. I'm giving it more oxygen, and it's closing it down. Now I have what is known as a neutral flame. I have that nice feather, and then I have the inner cone. So you only have 2 flames here. The reason I emphasize the feather is because when it hits the copper, it's wrapping around the copper, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So be sure you got a good firm grip of it, the handle. Now you can go almost any direction that you want, but for simplicity, we'll just do it this way. Now, with your rod, you want to just kind of heat it up. Heat it up and bend it. Now, the closer you get to that, the faster that's going to bend. All right, so be aware of it, and you're going to learn it. The reason I bend this is because I have to get in the back of this. All right, and there's no way that I can do that without tweaking myself all over. I need to be in total control of this thing. All right, so here's my feather. You remember me talking about that? I'm heating it up. Now, this is where the artist part of it comes, because if you bring it in too close, you'll get it so hot and cherry that it'll just flow everywhere. All right, but you need to learn when to apply. You see how it gets really cherry? Well, I can back that off. See how my rod just melts at the right temperature? All right. Now we can look at it and see what we have. Now you notice it only took about 10 seconds for that. All right, we want to shut off our fuel first, shut off our oxygen, lay the hand tool down, then look at our weld right there, brazing joint. Now you notice that to get a better look at this, you would drop it in the bucket and cool it off. But for simplicity, we're just trying to focus in on what's going on here. Remember, we want that shoulder cap, as we call it around here, on the metal. It really doesn't have a shoulder cap yet, because you can still see the inner workings there, the 2 separated pieces of metal. So I got to go start my stuff back up. Oh, didn't get lucky that time. All right. Readjust. Flip my shield down. And the reason that you need to use the shield on brazing is because of if you're doing a lot of it, the flame could hurt your eyes, or will hurt your eyes. So what I'm doing is I'm just going around, going to get heated up there. I can see it changing color. I let the rod melt. I'm not getting the flame to melt it. The rod is melting. Again, shut off the fuel, shut off the oxygen, lay your tool down, put your rod back in the container. Now we can look at this and you see where that shoulder is. All right, you see where it's all closed up? Now, the secret to this is you want to do it all at one time. Once you start, it should take you 10 to 15 seconds. You want that cap all the way around here without heating it up so much. And what students end up doing is they come back here and they want to heat this up, and they get it so hot that what they have already put in has been sucked in, and now you lose the shoulder again. Artistry. Keep the heat. Test it with your rod. It works. Once that rod just kind of melts right there, then you can finish off with your cap. All right? But you need to have it at the right temperature. This is not something that you can just wing it, because if you don't do this right, you're going to be coming back because of a leak, you lost a charge, whatever. All right, so we put everything back. Again, I'm not going to bore you. Shut off your gauges, drain the lines, drain the tanks, shut off your hoses, put away the tool properly, clean up your area. Now, you're going to do this, and then you're going to cut it and open that up. And they showed you that in the picture where you will cut somewhere, all right, right in the heart of the swedge point, all right? When you cut that, you're going to take the hacksaw and make a cross in it. You don't have to go real deep, maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch max, all right? If you really want a nice look at it, cut it right where your shoulder is. The joint right there, cut it straight down, put it back in the vise, put your cross on it with the hacksaw, saw it down 1/2 an inch, and then spread it open with the locking pliers. Then you're going to take that piece, remove your glove, and bring it to one of the instructors to have them check it out. If you did it right the first time, that's great, but we normally want you to do it 2 or 3 times, all right? You may have gotten lucky. Some people do have experience. The people that have the worst time on this is welders, because they're not dealing with such a light heat. They're always dealing with something heavy, so they have to adjust themselves. But this is brazing, and it's done with the oxygen acetylene tanks.